So friends, we continue to keep an eye on the news and events on the Ukraine-Russia front, and let's start with the breakthrough in the Kherson direction. Yesterday, our military advances were confirmed, and as of now, there hasn't been official information about further movements of our units. However, the occupiers claim that Ukrainian forces are disguising themselves in Russian uniform and destroying their vehicle column up to 15 kilometers from the front line.
Attention! Kherson direction. A sabotage group from the armed forces of Ukraine carried out an attack on a convoy of one of our brigades in the area of the Rostov-Vilna highway. According to preliminary information, the enemy group consisted of up to 30 individuals. I will not disclose information about our losses for objective reasons.
And this indicates that Ukrainian special forces are making incursion into the occupied territory by 15 kilometers, implying that there will soon be new advances by our military units, as these groups are assessing the situation on the occupied territory and seem to be successfully neutralizing the occupiers. And meanwhile, the Russians are conducting shelling and appear to be in a state of panic, as their command is shifting certain units to reinforce the Zaporizhia direction. They seem to believe that in the Kherson direction, the Ukrainian armed forces won't be able to assemble a significant force for a breakthrough across the river. And overall, we are waiting to see how events will unfold. But before we proceed with the further overview of the front line, I kindly ask you to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. And in the Lugansk direction, things are considerably more complex. And currently, the occupiers are attempting to move in new directions to disperse Ukrainian armed forces across the entire front line and weaken their defense. Given the significantly larger size of the Russian army, they are aiming to break through the defense and advance towards Kupiansk, and this is why attacks have resumed in the Svatove region. The occupiers are once again attempting to advance in the area of Novoselivsk, which they claim to have captured a few days ago. However, in reality, we see that their former front line remains in this region. And they are also attempting to breach the settlement of Nadia, but the Ukrainian forces are holding their defense, and over the past day the front line remains unchanged. The situation in the Kupiansk region has currently stabilized. Some media outlets claim it's a failure for the occupiers as the advance has halted. However, unfortunately, this isn't the case. In my opinion, they've paused their attacks due to the rains and have started regrouping and securing new positions. Just days ago, their progress was quite significant, covering 5 and 3 kilometers with widths of approximately 12 kilometers. And now they are reinforcing their forces closer to the front, and we should expect new attacks in the near future. And the Ukrainian forces understand this and are preparing to repel these upcoming attacks as well. And in the Crimea and Siversk area, the occupiers are not displacing much activity and are limited to shelling across the entire front line. The Ukrainian forces are in a defensive position and are responding with artillery strikes for now. In the Bakhmut direction, the Russians are attempting to launch an offensive to prevent the Ukrainian forces from encircling Bakhmut. The attacks are directed towards Bogdanivka and shelling is ongoing. Interestingly, the occupiers are trying to strike deep into the rear, approximately 12 kilometers from the front line. And in the Avdiivka direction, despite all the losses, the occupiers continue their offensive. Attacks on the outskirts of Avdiivka have been relentless for almost a week, but the Ukrainian forces are repelling all assaults and the front line remains unchanged. The occupiers are unable to mount the significant offensive they managed with Wagner's group. As a result, they can't capture Avdiivka, which is a positive development. And in Marinka, battles and shelling are ongoing as well, but the sizable Russian army is still unable to capture Marinka. The Ukrainian armed forces are experiencing success in these areas. And in the Vuhledar direction, the occupiers continue shelling both along the front line and up to 10 kilometers deep into the territory. Concurrently, they persist in their attempts to regain control of Staromayorsky, which remains under the Ukrainian armed forces' control. And in Urozhaine, their complete removal of occupiers has yet to be achieved, but the Ukrainian armed forces are actively eliminating them. And additionally, the updated front line shows that Urozhaine is almost entirely under the Ukrainian armed forces' control. Overall, the struggle continues, but rapid advancement remains challenging. The Russians have established firm positions and consistently reinforced their troops, which have increased significantly compared to the time of the initial counteroffensive on the Kharkiv front. The quantity of forces has multiplied several times. Therefore, any breaches in the defensive line are quickly sealed by new reserves, and the defensive actions persist. But in general, the defense relies on quantity rather than quality. There are also reports of explosions in the occupied city of Berdyansk. Details are currently unknown, but there is information about an explosion in the port area. And in the Zaporizhia direction, the gradual advance is also ongoing. There has been clarification in the front line, particularly in the direction of Rabotine. However, due to the substantial fortifications of the Russians, their counteroffensive has managed to breach approximately 10 kilometers in the depths of the occupied territory. The occupiers continue shelling but haven't initiated offensive actions yet. However, the upcoming developments are anticipated to become even more intriguing. And today, according to the Security Service of Ukraine, military counterintelligence operatives managed to destroy a Russian BMPT Terminator 2. This rare example of enemy defense was engulfed in flames from several hits by kamikaze drones. An attempt to salvage the disabled Terminator using a T-80 tank was thwarted by Security Service of Ukraine specialists too. The Russian Ministry of Defense claimed that this combat vehicle possesses a high level of protection, firepower, and controllability, and is capable of effectively destroying enemy firing points, fortifications, infantry using grenade launchers, and anti-tank complexes, as well as engaging tanks, BMPs, and other armored targets. But maybe no. And meanwhile, in Novoozerna, in occupied Crimea, explosions were reported overnight. In the morning, the Russian Minister of Defense stated that during a nighttime attack of Crimea, allegedly 20 drones were involved. And they claimed that all of them were neutralized, 14 by anti-aircraft defense systems and another 6 by electronic warfare equipment. And the ministry accused Ukraine of the attack and asserted that there were no damages or casualties. According to one Russian channel, this settlement houses a Russian military storage base established before the war at the 943rd CVMR. Propagandists also reported that closure of vehicle traffic on the Crimean bridge, and Kremlin propagandists suggested that the Ukrainian armed forces attempted to attack the Crimean bridge, citing explosions supposedly due to anti-aircraft defense system. Consequently, movement on the bridge was halted in both directions, and local channels shared videos showing smoke near the Crimean bridge. Whether it sustained damage remains uncertain. The so-called head of Crimea later claimed that Russian anti-aircraft system had shot down 2 rockets and that the bridge was undamaged. And the State Border Guard Service of Ukraine has received 6 mobile medical support complexes from the Netherlands. Ukrainian border guards obtained 2 Role 2 modules and 4 Role 1 modules. Representatives from the Netherlands also conducted training with the medical units of the State Border Guard Service on the deployment and use of these mobile complexes. And according to the agency, utilizing these complexes enabled the establishment of a medical evacuation system for the Border Guard Service in line with NATO medical service standards. We can autonomously set up a full-filled hospital in field conditions, complete with an operative room, pre-operative room, intensive care unit, laboratory, sterilization area, reception and sorting department, and even sanitary facilities, commented Colonel Oleg Havrashenko, a member of the Bodyguard Services Medical Unit. It's good news.
Okay, so we're here today for the second time as Hospitainer to support the State Border Guard with more field hospitals to support the Ukrainian population. This time we brought 4 Role 1 hospitals and 2 Role 2 hospitals, and we trained the people of the State Border Guard how to deploy the hospitals in the best way so they can use them in an efficient proposition in the coming period.
And that's all for now. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to support the channel with your subscription and comments. See you next time. Bye bye.